Since we can remember, Kevin Costner has been a Hollywood legend known for his iconic parts and long time on the big screen. Things aren't looking so good for the star these days, though. Costner's life seems to be changing in a way that worries both fans and critics. He is facing problems at home and at work. What's going on with this well-known star behind the scenes? We're going to talk about Kevin Costner's problems today. He is looking into the events that have ruined his career, which used to be very bright. This story comes as a surprise and makes you feel uneasy. Kevin Costner came into the world on January 18, 1955 in Linwood, California. Born in Compton, California, to William and Sharon Costner, he grew up there with them. Kevin was the youngest of 3 boys. The middle child, a boy, died before he was born. Sharon was his mother and worked in welfare, and William was his father. William used to be a plumber and then became a utilities executive. Costner's family came to America from Germany in the 1700s. They also had English, Irish, Scottish, and Welsh ancestors. Kevin grew up in a Baptist home. He wasn't very interested in school, but he loved sports, especially football. Besides that, he took piano lessons, wrote poetry, and sang in the church band. One of the movies that shaped his early taste was How the West Was Won, which made him love westerns. As you can see, Kevin's teen years were pretty rough. Kevin had to move around California a lot because of his dad's job, so he had to change schools a lot. He lived in Ventura and then Visalia. He went to Mount Whitney High School and joined the marching band there. Later, he played baseball there and had Dennis Burt, who would go on to throw in Major League Baseball as a teammate. The first degree Costner got after high school was a bachelor's from California State University, Fullerton in 1978. At that school, he joined the Delta Chi fraternity. But it wasn't until his last year of college that he became interested in dancing and singing. Kevin had a chance meeting in Puerto Vallarta in 1978 while on his vacation. It would change his life. Someone named Richard Burton was on the flight back home with him. Kevin wasn't sure if he wanted to become an actor, so he asked Burton for help. Burton not only told him to do it, but also reassured him that as an actor it was possible to have a safe non-work life. Kevin chose to become an actor after this meeting. Kevin started going to acting classes 5 nights a week after he agreed to work in marketing. His wife was totally behind him. The marketing job was only for 30 days. Kevin worked many jobs to support himself while he pursued his dream. He drove trucks, worked on fishing boats, and even gave tours of the homes of Hollywood stars. These jobs helped him pay for acting classes while he was going to try out for roles. Kevin Costner's first movie part was in Sizzle Beach, USA, which was shot from 1978 to 1979, but didn't come out until 1981. It didn't get a lot of attention until it came out again in 1986. Many people thought his first movie was The Touch when it wasn't because of these problems with the release. Costner had a small part in the 1982 movie Night Shift by Ron Howard. During a wild party scene in the New York City morgue, he played the frat boy Hash One. Even though it was a small part, it was one of his first movie roles. Costner was in an ad for the Apple Lisa in 1983 and had small parts in Table for Five and the nuclear holocaust movie Testament. He was also cast in The Big Chill around this time. Costner's scenes as the dead friend Alex were cut from the movie, but the project put him in touch with director Lawrence Kasdan, who offered to give him a part in a future movie. As Silverado, Costner got his big break in that part. In the same year, he was in the smaller movies Fandango and American Flyers, and was in an episode of Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories with Kiefer Sutherland. He was only beginning though. That movie, The Untouchables, gave him his big break in 1987. He played FBI agent Elliot Ness. He also played the lead role in the movie No Way Out that same year. These movies made him a big star in the movie business. After this, he made 2 more movies about baseball, Bull Durham and Field of Dreams, which cemented his place in Hollywood even more. Kevin joined forces with director Jim Wilson in 1990 to make Tig Productions. Their first movie together was The Epic Dances with Wolves. The movie got 12 Academy Award nominations and won 7 of them. Costner directed and starred in it. Kevin himself won Best Film and Best Director. He became a serious player in the business after this accomplishment. Kevin wasn't content to rest on his laurels, so he played the famous Robin Hood in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves in 1991. The movie was a huge hit at the box office, even though it got mixed reviews. His next role was as Jim Garrison, the district attorney, in Oliver Stone's controversial political movie JFK. There was a lot of disagreement about how true to history the movie was, but Kevin's acting was praised, and he was nominated for a Golden Globe. Kevin played the lead role opposite Whitney Houston in The Bodyguard the next year. The movie became a huge hit. Kevin continued his good luck with Clint Eastwood's A Perfect World, in which he played a thief on the run. Even though he wasn't scary, people liked him because he was kind and charming. Kevin's career took a hit when Waterworld came out. This sci-fi post-apocalyptic movie got mixed reviews and was slammed for how much it cost to make. It made money in the end, but Kevin had hoped it would be a bigger hit. With The Postman, which he directed and acted in, things got worse. The movie did not do well at the box office and got bad reviews from critics. It even won several Golden Raspberry Awards, including Worst Picture and Worst Director. However, not everything was wrong during this time. Kevin played in the golf comedy Tin Cup in 1996. It was directed by Ron Shelton, who had also directed him in Bull Durham. The movie did well at the box office and reminded people of how good Kevin is at playing likable regular people. At this point, Kevin was supposed to play the lead in Air Force One, but he chose to finish writing The Postman instead, giving the part to Harrison Ford. Kevin showed that he still had a lot to give with this performance, which earned him praise from critics and several award nominations. Kevin kept working regularly and was in movies like The Guardian and Mr. Brooks, where he played a killer and killed many people. His production business, Tig Productions, changed its name to Treehouse Films in 2008. He was in Swing Vote that same year. This political comedy showed how well he could mix drama and fun. Kevin was in the 2010 movie The Company Men with Ben Affleck and Tommy Lee Jones. The movie had its world premiere at the Sundance Film Festival and got good reviews, but it didn't do very well at the box office. Kevin Costner announced in 2011 that he was going to direct A Little War of Our Own. This would be his first movie as a director in 7 years. He had a great track record, so there was no question that he could make the movie a hit. Fans were even more excited because he was going to work with director Kevin Reynolds again on learning Italian. A Little War of Our Own is an action-adventure movie set in World War II. Kevin Costner plays a small-town sheriff who is trying to keep the peace while the rest of the world is at war. The script, which was written by Dan Gordon, interested Costner and producer Armyan Bernstein, who then hired a German U-boat commander to play the other lead part in the movie. Even though there was a lot of excitement about these projects at first, there have been no changes since they were first announced. Fans of Costner are still excited to see him bring these stories to life. Around the same time, Kevin had a cameo in Funny or Die's Field of Dreams 2, NFL Lockout, which made fun of his famous part in Field of Dreams. In Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, a new take on the Superman franchise, he played Jonathan Kent, Superman's adopted father. There is no question that Kevin Costner's career has had its ups and downs, but the miniseries Hatfields and McCoys in 2012 was one of the most important turns in his career. Costner played Devil Anse Hatfield in this 3-part series. Devil Anse Hatfield was the head of the Hatfield family during their famous fight with the McCoys. The small screen show on the History Channel was based on a true story about one of the most famous family fights in American history. The Hatfields and the McCoys were bitter rivals for many years, and their fight almost turned into a full-scale war between Kentucky and West Virginia. The show's premiere on May 28, 2012, and it was a huge surprise hit, with 13.9 million people. It was clear that Costner was back in the game because of this huge crowd. Many people saw it as a reminder of how strong the actor was on screen and how well he could play complicated roles. For Costner to play Devil Anse Hatfield, he had to really understand how rough and unforgiving life was in the Appalachian Mountains in the late 1800s. His acting was both intense and nuanced. Costner received a lot of praise for his role as Hatfield and was honored with a number of important awards. He got the Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Miniseries or a Movie in 2012. This was a big deal that put him back at the top of the entertainment business. The next year, the Screen Actors Guild gave him an award for Best Performance by a Male Actor in a Miniseries or Television Movie. The 2013 Golden Globe Award for Best Performance by an Actor in a Limited Series or Motion Picture made for television also went to him. These awards showed how talented Costner was and how well he could bring a character to life in a way that people could relate to. Costner's career took a big turn when Hatfields and McCoys did well, which led to parts in a wide range of movies. He was in the 2014 spy movie Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit, in which he played Thomas Harper, a teacher to the movie's main character. In the same year, Costner appeared in the exciting movie 3 Days to Kill, which gave him a chance to show off his acting skills in a dangerous setting. He also played Sonny Weaver Jr. in Draft Day, a sports story that looked into how NFL teams hire new players. When Costner produced and acted in Black or White, it showed how versatile he is. This praise play dealt with race and family problems. The movie had its world premiere at the 2014 Toronto International Film Festival. It came out in theaters in 2015. Black or White wasn't a huge hit, but it was praised for having a deep story and Kevin Costner giving an emotional performance. In 2015, Costner played Coach Jim White in the movie McFarland, USA, which was based on the real story of a high school cross-country team in a small California town. The movie got good reviews for its moving story and strong performances. The part of Costner as the coach who leads his team to win reminded me of how he can play characters who are determined and persistent. Price played Al Harrison in the 2016 movie Hidden Figures, the story of three African-American women who worked at NASA in the early years of the U.S. space program's history. His role, a NASA Space Task Group supervisor, was a mix of several real people, and Costner was praised for how deep and subtle his performance was. Hidden Figures did well at the box office and with critics, which added to Costner's fame in Hollywood. The next year, Costner and Jessica Chastain were both in Molly's Game, which was Aaron Sorkin's first movie as a director. The movie is based on the true story of Molly Bloom, who ran a high-stakes poker game. Costner played Molly's father, a complicated person who had a hard time getting along with his daughter. Again, his act was praised for how deeply it touched people. Costner has both played in and produced the TV show Yellowstone. The show, which is about the Dutton family and their huge ranch in Montana, became a huge hit very quickly. People were drawn to Yellowstone because it had a lot of drama, mystery, and beautiful scenery of the American West. It quickly became one of the most watched TV shows. Costner's first regular part in a TV show was in this show. It put him in the spotlight and introduced him to a new group of fans. Kevin Costner's latest and most big project, Horizon, an American saga, is going to be very hard, even though Yellowstone and other recent movies have been huge hits. Because Costner has wanted to make this story into a movie since 1988, this huge four-part Western blockbuster has been a labor of love for him. Costner not only directed the movies, but also acted in them. He put his whole heart and soul into the whole thing. Kevin Costner has a special way of telling stories, especially when it comes to capturing the spirit of the American West. We all watch the show and agree on this. His deep knowledge of the rough landscape, the conflicts between tradition and progress, and the personal struggles of his characters make his work stand out in the genre. Yellowstone, with its gripping story and complicated characters, is already proof of this. With Horizon and American Saga, Costner is now taking his art to an even higher level. The goal of this big project is not just another Western. It's the result of decades of hard work and desire. If you loved how complex the relationships were, and how beautiful the photography was in Yellowstone, you'll probably be thrilled to see how Costner builds on these elements in Horizon. Horizon's first part came out in June 2023, but it didn't do very well at the box office. The film made only $24 million internationally, even though it was said to have cost $100 million to make. It had an extremely bad opening weekend, getting only $11 million. Costner had put a lot of time, money, and feeling into this project, and the results were very disappointing. Because the first part wasn't very good, a tough choice had to be made. The second part of Horizon, an American Saga, which was supposed to come out in August 2023, was taken off the schedule for theater releases. Instead of putting out the movie as planned, Costner and his production company, Territory Pictures, chose to change their plans. They turned their attention to video on demand so that the first part could have more time to build an audience and get going. Costner was very upset about this choice because he had spent millions of dollars on his own to fund the Horizon project. Even though the failure happened, Costner and Territory Pictures said they were still hopeful that the show would find an audience in the end. The company said in a statement that they believed in the movies and were grateful for the support they had gotten from both fans and theater owners. The choice not to show the movie in theaters wasn't completely unexpected, since the movie didn't do well at the box office. But it was hard for Costner to take because he had hoped Horizon would be a huge epic that would captivate viewers and leave a lasting mark on the Western genre. The comparison to movies like Dune, where you might not fully understand the story until all the parts are out, gave him some comfort, but the project's uncertainty made him feel very bad. Critics and people who work in the business have different ideas about why Horizon hasn't done very well. Some people have said that putting the movie out at Cannes might not have been the best idea, as the movie might not have lived up to what reviewers who went saw had hoped for. Others have said that the structure of the movie, which was meant to set up the next parts, might have made people feel like the story wasn't finished. The fact that work is already underway on the third episode of Horizon has made things even more difficult. But there aren't any release dates for parts 3 and 4, and Warner Bros. And New Line haven't bought the rights to show these movies yet. This has made things even less clear in a position that was already tough. Even worse, there are reports going around that Costner might not be in the 5th season of Yellowstone because he is still facing legal problems. The fact that he might not be on the show that has been a big part of his recent career comeback makes the worry he is feeling even worse. On top of these problems at work, there is also a lot of trouble in their personal lives. Costner just finished an expensive and well-known divorce, which made an already tough time in his life even more difficult. He has clearly been hurt by the economic stress of the breakup and the huge amount of money he has put into the Horizon project. This time has been hard for Costner in both his personal and work life. Even though Yellowstone was a big hit, Horizon has been a real pain, and it's taken away from what was supposed to be his crowning effort. The project has cost a lot of money and caused a lot of stress. There are still court problems going on, and no one knows what will happen with it in the future. We know one thing for sure, though. It's clear that Costner is dedicated to his idea. Always ready to take chances and make movies that aren't what they seem to be, he has been an artist. That goal was meant to be shown through Horizon, a big, ambitious tale that can be put up with the best westerns of the past. Costner could not have imagined how hard things would be in real life, though.